I'm going to just start by saying people are making a lot of money right now. A lot of money right now. And some of them doing the stock market, some of them doing it in cryptocurrency, some of them are doing it in entrepreneurial ventures. A buddy of mine in Europe, he just made $6 million in one day. He won an account to manufacture not ventilators, but masks. So just remember, in any time, whether it's 2019, 18, 17, 16, or 2020, there's always a new opportunity. So remember this saying, and I'm just going to start with this. The most important saying that's in my brain is, it's not the smartest, or the strongest who survive, okay? It's the most, pardon my spelling here, I'm trying to type fast, adaptable to the environment. Most adaptable to the environment in which they find themselves. Oops, my screen froze for a second. I'll type in a second. The most adaptable to the environment in which they find themselves. So you got to ask yourself, maybe you had a strategy on how you've been making money. Maybe you had a strategy on how you're picking stocks. Everything goes out the door in times like this. We're looking at, the jobs report will come out tomorrow. And it'll be interesting. There are some people, depends who you listen to. Some of you are maybe optimists, but without a doubt, unemployment numbers are going to be off the charts. My grandma's 102. She was born in 1918. When she was born, Germany was still doing, World War I was still going on, and Germany went into recession for 15 years. America then followed 1929 unemployment rates were in the 20%. In 2008, with Obama, you had 13%, depending on what state. So right now is the ultimate time. It's most adaptable to the environment in which you find yourself. Okay? So I hope at some level you become extremely adaptable. So with that said, that's kind of my opening. It's not the smartest or the strongest who will survive this quarantine, this recession. It's the most adaptable to the environment in which you or they find themselves. So I hope you'll be extra adaptable. Stubbornness will be punished in these times. Okay, so let's jump into, I want to talk about, picking stocks in today's environment and volatile world, let's call it. Now, I've been looking through the chats here. There's a couple hundred of them. And, people are asking all kinds of questions. I saw a question about, oil. One thing you got to understand, so let me just preface it by saying this. There's many philosophies on how to make money in the stock market. I'm going to talk about that in a second. There's basically two main schools of thought, okay? There's people that are trading technically and people who are more fundamental based. Technical is where you see people doing a lot of charts, doing predictions, saying because of this. I saw on Twitter, I was just looking through, it's insane the amount of people who are technical traders. I am not a technical trader. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good or bad. The way that I operate, not even stock market, just business in general, I'm a fundamental guy. I look up to most Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett was once asked if he looks at charts and technical trading indicators, and he said, I never bothered to learn it, and I've done okay. Now, I know that's controversial, but I just want you to know up front, what I'm going to show you is a macro approach to how I look at business and stocks. One thing, we have some beginners on here, so if you're advanced, please excuse some of this, and it maybe can be a refresher. But the stock market is simply businesses. That's it. I don't know if it's I'm on my farm, so I have slower internet connection, so bear with me on my slides here. But the stock market is a collection of businesses. That's it. So if you understand business, you'll have a basic understanding of the fundamentals, okay, of the stock market. It's just a compilation of a lot of businesses. I was on my business partner who's coming on. He sold his company for $300 million in August, okay? And he sold it on the New York Stock to a company that's on the New York Stock Exchange. So he just rang the bell here in August, not too long ago. And every single stock that trades there is in some form and fashion a business. Now, it gets more complicated. You have things like ETFs, which in and of themselves aren't really businesses, but they're baskets of businesses and so on. Okay? But in general, I'm an entrepreneur and I understand the basics of business. And the better you get at business, okay, the better chance you have at understanding fundamental investing. Give me 1 second here. Okay. By the way, during this presentation at the end, I'm going to give you a couple stock picks. I know I promised one stock pick. I'm going to give you a few. Now, so let's talk about philosophies on the stock market. This is the first thing. So there's a lot of philosophies. As I said, there's fundamental people. Fundamental people basically look at the business itself. Okay, so like, for example, Warren Buffett recently bought Delta stock. So we're going to talk about Delta in a little bit. He bought Delta Airlines, large, this is within this month, okay? He does not look at charts and go, okay, it's been going up and it's been going down and it's most likely to forget that. What he does is he says, what's this company worth? Okay, and I'm just going to use round numbers. These are hypothetical. If he thinks that the company's worth $10 billion and there's 10 billion shares, he'll go, it's a $1 a share. That's what I think it's worth. So if he sees it trading at half of that, he might buy. Simple. He goes, fundamentally, how good of a business is this? How much is the whole business worth? And then he does something called the margin of safety. He goes, you know what? My guess is it's worth $10 a share or $20 a share, whatever the stock is. But I'm going to give myself a margin of safety. And when I see it trading well below that value, I'll make my move. Of course, he has other factors in there too. Okay? The problem why he doesn't like cryptocurrency, by the way, just so you guys know, a fundamental trader like a Warren Buffett, okay, the reason he doesn't like cryptocurrency, because I see people asking about that, is very simple. He doesn't understand the fundamentals. Bitcoin isn't a business. That's why he doesn't like gold, for example. He's like, all the gold in the world would fit on one large boat. And it's equal in value to all the farmland in America. But he goes, what would you rather own? All the farmland in America or gold? All the gold in the world. Gold has no income producing value in and of itself. Farmland does. You can grow food, crops, animals, timber, all that. Okay? So a technical trader, which I am not, but my business partner was at some point. He's going to come on here, Dr. Mayer. They look at patterns. They look at charts. And by the way, people are combinations of fundamental and technical. But I want to go beyond this. I want to go into the tactical. So I'm rolling out an investor newsletter where every week we'll be giving stock tips that you can follow, okay? Me and I have a small group of people that are really smart that I listen to. My business partner, Alex, is one of them, Dr. Mayer. He's a smart guy. When he was 14 years old, he came #2 in the world physics contest, which is basically the smartest kid from every country. He lost to a Chinese girl who had been studying for 6 years, and Alex didn't study for even 6 hours. He just showed up. So he's a very smart guy, PhD, engineering, worked for NASA, went on to drop out of getting an MBA at Berkeley, started Zeus, sold it for $300 million. So he's a sharp guy. He's a guy I listen to. I have a couple other business partners. Some of them didn't want to come on this call because they are kind of like, Tai, don't give away all of our secrets. But Dr. Mayer is going to come on. I got one of them to come on. So tactically, there's only a few ways that you can invest in the stock market, okay? So let me just kind of graph it out. By the way, there's other ways to think about it, but think of a matrix. So you've got like tic-tac-toe, okay? So matrix number one here, you have, hold on one second. Let me see if I can switch this zoom to a matrix. Let me see any questions that we have. There's a lot coming. I'm new to stocks, Mary says, but this will be a great start to learn something. Yes, Mary, remember what I said at the beginning. You're buying small pieces of businesses. That's all that matters. Warren Buffett hasn't beaten the S&P 500 over the last 20 years. I don't think that's true at all. First of all, you got to go back to when Buffett started. And also, numbers lie a little bit. Because it depends. You could pick an exact moment in time where he did worse than the S&P and things like that. But you are right. In general, active traders lose. So let me just draw out this matrix. I think that some of you who are more advanced will understand what I'm saying, and some of you won't. So you have broad, okay, and you have focused. So that's two parts of the matrix. Okay? Now, you have the other parts are high velocity, and low velocity. So you can be any combination of these. So you can be a broad-based investor with low velocity, or a broad-based investor with focused velocity. You can be high velocity focused, high velocity broad. So these are four. One of the things you're going to learn if you want to come in my newsletter, I'm going to give away stuff for free. Don't worry, you're not going to have to pay to get. If you want to be in my annual test group, I'll put a link later. But let's get started with just a lot of stuff you learn. So a broad-based investor goes very wide across the market. Okay, so a low velocity. So let's talk about Warren Buffett, my favorite guy. Warren Buffett is low velocity and focused. So he picks very specific stocks. He does not himself invest in index funds or ETFs because he is a fund in and of himself. So it makes sense, right? So he's low velocity focused. What I mean by that is he's not trading every day. He's not a high frequency trader. He's not a hedge fund guy. He's not a technical guy that has a whole bunch of orders in to make trades automatically the second the stock drops below a certain, right? So for those of you who don't know, you can put in automated orders. So for those of you who are beginners, like let's say you buy a stock at $10, you can say, hey, if I'm sleeping and it goes down to $7, automatically sell it. He does not do that. He's low velocity. He buys something and holds it for 20 years. But he's focused. So he might buy one, for example, he bought $60 billion in Apple stock recently. Very focused, but very low velocity. He hasn't been trading it. He hasn't been offloading it. So that's approach number one. And we're going to be sharing tactics over this year if you want to be a low velocity focused trader. In fact, that's what I am, by the way. I personally like low velocity focused. You have low velocity broad based, which would be people. Alex is my business partner is going to come on. He's low velocity broad. So he likes ETFs. If you don't know what an ETF is, they're exchange traded funds. They're basically, you can cover a whole wide variety. For example, me and him last week were looking at some brick and mortar ETFs. They're not even trading anymore. They're extinct. But there was ETFs that just bought a basket of like Kohl's, JCPenney's, Sears. By the way, you can figure out why they don't trade anymore, right? Because if an ETF, basically, if the value gets too low, it's not worth trading because of the fees. So they're just frozen in time. So he's a low velocity broad. I'm a focused low velocity. If you like adventure like me, learn focused, because focus has the biggest returns, but also you can lose more money. Okay? Now, high velocity focused, I'm not going to teach that. We're not going to teach that in the newsletter. If you want to do high velocity focused, it's like something, it will consume you. You have to sit in front of your computer all the time, just so you know. So you can just kind of point to the grid here. I am low velocity focused, so let me put here. I'll just put Tai Lopez. My philosophy equals focused plus low velocity. Go up here, and Dr. Mayer. Dr. Mayer is, and mine, by the way, I would say is medium risk, medium aggressiveness. He is broad plus low velocity, which I think is just too boring for me, but that's lowest risk. That's lowest risk. Like, so he's buying broad-based stuff. He's buying ETFs that cover the whole market. He's basically betting on the entire United States. Like, do I think the U.S. is going to go up as a broad-based, looking at broad-based indicators. So, again, some of this might be too basic for you, but we got, how many people are on this call now? I was trying to limit it to 500. We got almost 800 people on, so just bear with me. I'm going to talk about cryptos a little bit later, my philosophy on crypto. But now, let me give you a little step back. Let me just tell you my background, because sometimes people are like, Tai, what's your qualifications? You're just a social media guy, Tai, like, right? You just can't pop in here and be talking about the stock market. What people don't know about me is that I started working in finance. I started, and I can tell you the exact day, September 11th, 2001. My first day with GE, so you might have heard of GE Capital, GE Financial. At the time, it was the biggest financial company in the world. Well, it was the biggest market cap company in the world. So I started young. I started in 2001. So I'm on my 20th year in finance. I went on to start a wealth management company. In North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina, with my business partner. And we started at 50-50, and we managed many, many millions of dollars for clients. We had 6,000 managed wealth for individuals. 6,000 customers in all 50 states. And we did broad-based financial planning. Okay, so this is not new to me. I was also what's called a CFP, which is a certified financial planner, for 10 years. I'm not anymore because you got to take annual tests for it, and I don't use it anymore. So I think I stopped being a CFP. I didn't get kicked out or anything. Sometimes people are like, oh, are you not a CFP because you got kicked out? No, I just stopped renewing my CFP, okay? So that was, 5-6 years ago. But managed money, I sold that business because I moved to California. I sold that business about 10 years ago, and it's still in business. It's a wealth management company. It's called LOG Financial. It's still in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that's my background in terms of, I was also an IAR, investment advisor rep. We were with Raymond James. We were with LPL. I was a CFP. If you guys know what an IAR, I was with Raymond James, and then later LPL, which is the biggest, independent, right? So that's where we cleared. I was also a CFU. I was a CHFC, CLU. I had all kinds of credentials in that space. So I've been doing this for a while. It doesn't mean I'm always right on anything. I just want people to know, because sometimes people are like, Tai, aren't you the Lamborghini guy who just knows, cars and stuff? And that's not really where I started. Okay, so I got the cover. Now, let me tell you what happened to me very recently. Let's talk about right now. Let's talk about quarantine. Let's talk about Corona. Well, here's the thing. People want to make money from home, right? The number one way you create wealth, let me just show you this. Let's go here to the Forbes list. All right, we got the Forbes list. This is the wealthiest self-made people in the world. I'm going to exclude people who inherited their money. So let's just look here. What do every person here have in common? Very interesting. You got Jeff Bezos, you got Gates, Buffett, Arnold, Carlos Slim, Ortega. Okay, there's one thing. First of all, did they make their money in real estate? A common concept is that wealth is created with real estate. And by the way, wealth is created by real estate, but let's just look at the Forbes list. Is there any single person here who created their wealth from real estate on this list? Bezos. So let's play a game called brands or real estate, or business or real estate. Owning a business. Actually, let's call it this. Shares or real estate. Does Jeff Bezos, is he wealthy because he has shares or because he owns physical real estate? Shares. He owns a crap load of shares of Amazon. Bill Gates, shares or real estate? Physical property or imaginary shares? Because shares are just a human invention that's only, I think, about 500 years old. Bill Gates has shares. At one point, he owned 65% of Microsoft when it was at its largest, or one, I mean, at its, not at its very largest, but Warren Buffett, he owns shares in 92 companies last time I checked. Arnold, Carlos Slim, Ortega, Larry Ellison, Zuckerberg. It's all shares. So that's the first thing I want people to know, because people, they don't teach this in school. And so when I was growing up, you know, I had a single mom. My dad was in prison. No one told me about wealth. First thing I thought was wealth was created by real estate. Now, to be clear, a lot of people do create wealth by real estate, but not on the Forbes list, not on the top. In fact, you have to find somebody who created wealth in real estate on the Forbes list in the U.S., you have to go to number 65 or 63. Michael Bloomberg ran for president. Shares. He owns Bloomberg. It's a massive, you know, software terminal related to the stock market business. Larry Page, he owns shares in Google. The Koch brothers, didn't one of them just die? Mukesh Ambani, I forget what he made. Was it steel or something? Sergey Brin, Google. The Walton family. Steve Ballmer, number 19, that's somebody I actually know. We're not close friends or anything, but I've had dinner with them and interesting conversations for a couple hours, you know, one-on-one dinner. And Ballmer is now, what's Ballmer at? He just bought, did you see this? He bought the Forum. You want to know a flex? Here's a flex. Let's look at Clippers. Look here. Steve Ballmer reaches deal to buy the Forum for $400 million in cash. He couldn't close the deal, so guess what he did? He just bought the damn thing for cash, $400 million. So you know you have money when you can just go, let me drop $400 million. Oh, he's down to $41 billion. He was at $51 billion literally, I don't know, a month ago. So shares is where wealth is created. I guess that's what I wanted to show you. Okay? Make money from home. So in what? So you got really two choices. Shares are where wealth is created. Shares, shares, shares. You might have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some of that's I agree with. I mean, I agree with the book in general, but own assets, but he's so heavy into real estate, which I think is fine, but shares create wealth. So you got two ways of owning shares. If you want to be a billionaire, your best bet, if you want to be a billionaire, is to own shares controlling interests. Okay? So billionaires have controlling interests of shares. So they actually own enough shares that they control votes. Carl Icahn, Michael Milken was a guy that did that. Of course, he went to prison, but I think he just got pardoned by Donald Trump. You have Carl Icahn right now is a guy who's making big moves. If you look here at Occidental Petroleum, If you look here at the news, it's all about, well, where is it? Let's see. Here, you got Carl Icahn right here, making moves, putting pressure on the board. He owns enough shares that he can make a difference. So if you want to be a billionaire, my advice to you is you got to own controlling interest in shares. Now, that's not the place to start because that takes a long-ass time to do. So millionaires can be created, or people who make a good living and create wealth for themselves. They make it by owning minority shares, so minority interests. So millionaires, or we could say people who retire, maybe they're not quite millionaires, they own minority interests. So when you think about the stock market, it's much more about you becoming a minority interest holder in a whole bunch of companies. Okay? So someone said, Tai, what comes first? Controlling interest or billionaire? Controlling interest comes first, my friend. Billionaire comes later. Okay, so with Corona going, you might as well double down right now and learn. This is not the secret of billionaires, but this is the secret of people who can create nice nest eggs for themselves. By the way, I'm not promising that you'll become a millionaire. Let me change this so nobody gets confused. Financially independent. Because look, it's not realistic that everybody in the damn world becomes a millionaire. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's never been that way in history. There's always been people who know more than other people. But you can start controlling minority interests in companies on your phone right now. There's apps you can download, and you can start buying minority interests. And I'll tell you, a tragedy of epic proportions is the fact that in high school they don't do this. They should give people what's called paper trading accounts and just let people literally go out, let kids start putting together their own portfolio. It's stupid. Raise your hand if you're high school or college, by the way. How'd you create a paper portfolio? Anybody. Because if you did, I want to know what school you went to. You know, Zachary says nope. Your college did, never, nah. So it looks like about 10 to 20% of people went to schools. You were the lucky ones. My school, we played stock games, somebody said. Marco says he's in high school right now, and no. Well, good. I'm telling you, you could take $10, you could take 100, preferably not $10, but you can start low. But let's say you can take $100, and you can start playing the stock market. And if you understand the fundamentals, you're going to lose money sometimes, but if you do it right, you make more money than you lose. It's like poker, man. Who here plays poker? If you understand odds, if you understand statistics, if you understand how to stay cool under pressure, my friend Nam Lee, he's like top 20 cash, or I don't know what his official ranking, but he's like top 20 in terms of earnings as a poker player. I think he's made his reported earnings, it's either $8 or $14 million. He's a good friend of mine. He's smart. He's cool under pressure. And by the way, he's not only good at poker, he's good at making money in all kinds. He's got his hand in 10 different businesses. And he's actually an investor with me. So what we're talking about now, you're sitting in quarantine, you don't have anything to do. Maybe your income's cut. Why not learn how to start taking minority interest? So I'll tell you what I do, going back to qualifications. So I'll just show you something here. So this is in February. So February, you can see this is an article in the New York Post. I was trying to buy Blue Apron, the whole company. Okay, I have a link to it on my Instagram if you want to read the New York Post article. So Blue Apron was down, and I'm going to show you a chart here. So if you Google, you can just Google Blue Apron stock. Okay, it's APRN. Here's the chart, set it to 6 months. And right here, February, I think I was February 25th, it was $2.10. Now, I wasn't doing it as a stock trader. I was doing it as a controlling interest investor. You can't do this at the beginning. This took me many years to learn how to do. Okay? So here, this is before this. I posted this on February 28th, but I think it was the 26th the article came out. So I was in talks with the investment bank related to Blue Apron. I still am. And I saw value there. I knew that, because remember, Corona's been being talked about since January, even before. So I saw the writing on the wall. Blue Apron has a problem. It's not profitable with its meals. You can see it's public information that every time they ship a meal, they lose money. So, but I also knew food security is going to be a big deal. I looked around the world. I looked what China was doing. They're locking people. China was welding doors shut of apartment complex. So I said to myself, all right, this company is going to be important. And I tried to buy the whole thing. Corona came a little faster than I expected. But look what it shot up to, $16.25. $16.25. Now, by the way, full disclosure, I did not pump this stock. I did not buy any shares. It's illegal to do that, just so people know. I want to address that. So I did not buy stocks and then get a New York Post article to post and then drive the stock up myself. Okay, that's not something. Don't do that. You'd be like Martha Stewart. You end up in prison. So, but what I did was I looked at general macro trends. It went up to $16.25. So basically, $1,000 turned into $8,000 in 2 weeks. $10,000 turned into 80 G's in 2 weeks. Now, just so you know, I'm not always that good at picking the winners, but that's just an example in the last 30 days of me seeing that I have one advantage, just so you know. I have 10 million social media followers. So I have a big advantage here. Let me go back. So Blue Apron, February, I tried to buy controlling interest. Shares went from, let's call it, I think it was 220. It was market cap was at 25 million. Blue Apron at its peak was at 2 billion. So I was buying something that was highly depressed. And it shot to, I think, what did I say, 16-ish. Okay. So very interesting how I did that, just so you guys know, is with 10 million, I have the most followers of anybody who talks about the stock market. Okay, I have 10 million social media followers. And believe it or not, there's something called collective intelligence. You might see me do this sometimes on my Twitter, for example. I'll post, let me just show you an example here of collective intelligence. Somebody asked, what is minority interest? It means you don't own enough shares to vote or to move the market. You might have a little bit of proxy and stuff, but it means like you own 1/1,000,000th of 1% of a company, whereas Warren Buffett owns 10%. And so he has enough stock that he can fire the CEO or change the board or things like that. So I just put here, what do you think is the best trade on Delta Airlines? And I got 3,200 votes. I said, what do you think of Facebook? And I got 1,700 votes. I also post on my Instagram story. So believe it or not, I can, now that does, it's not always right what my followers think, but I can see patterns. Before, let me show you something. So here's a controlling interest of a company that I bought. If you Google Tai Lopez USA Today, you'll see this an article here, Dress Barn. So this was owned by a publicly traded company called Ascena. And I bought it from Ascena. You can see my name here somewhere. Here it is, Tai Lopez. So I bought control of this company in October, and I actually took it private. So it was public, then I took it private. And I own it now, and I'm the majority shareholder in this company, okay? And so that's an example of, if you want to try to get on the Forbes list, you want to try to do deals like that. It's called M&A, mergers and acquisition. I acquired something large. So That's the ideal, but I don't know how to teach that to everybody. So that's why I'm saying investing in the stock market is the next best thing to taking controlling interest. This company I bought here did $740 million in revenue last year. It's a big company. I mean, it did almost $1 billion 3 years ago. But they made some mistakes. They took on some debt, and they had to offload the company. This company that I bought had made the owners billionaires, and I took it all right off their hands in an auction situation. But to do that, you need to know the big investment bankers. You got to know Guggenheim, and you got to know Lazard and Hilco and, Tiger 21 and all these liquidation firms. So I don't recommend – that's like PhD level. So I hope some of you at some point will get to a PhD level where you're actually doing controlling interests. And that's something maybe that's in your future. I hope it is. Okay? So – going back to what I recommend here, look at this stock. I still think this is an interesting stock right here. Right now, it's hovering at 137 million market cap. Again, I'll give you a stock tip I wasn't even planning to give. I still like Blue Apron. I don't like to talk about this one too much simply because I'm still trying to buy it, so I don't want to have conflict of interest. But I'll tell you that I'm looking to still buy this company. It was better when it was market cap was 25 million. So coronavirus has actually made it much harder for me to buy this company because they now got, but look at this. If you look at their max chart here, look back 2 years, look here. This stock was at 140 in 2017. How important do you think food's going to be, people? Put food. Food right now is the new damn gold in this world. So HelloFresh is doing very well. Blue Apron's doing well. I'm very bullish on food in general. Okay, but let me just tell you one thing. There's a lot of dangers in the stock market because you can buy the right thing at the wrong time, or you could exit at the wrong time. So just remember that. It's yeah. Any questions on this? What I did with Dress Barn? What I did with, I've launched a new business, by the way. You want to see a new business that's crushing it right now? That I'm the owner of this business, me and my business partner, Alex. Let me pull it up here. Farmer's Box. Man, this business that I own is just destroying. I hope, by the way, that you guys will also learn how to build businesses, but I've been talking about that for years. Now I want to talk about the stock market. This business right here is doing very well. Like, we're getting day over day growth. It's not public. I own this privately. Me and my business. There's actually a video of me right here on my farm. That's the farm I'm on right now. So we're selling food right now. Food security. So in general, I'm interested. I think that you should be watching anything related to food right now. Supply chain of food. People forget that the supply chain, people think about Amazon and they're like, oh, toilet paper. I'm like, forget that. We got plenty of shelter in the world. The three most important things are food, shelter, water. Water has not been affected by corona. Your sink still works. Worst case, you don't drink your fancy bottled water. You can drink right out of the sink. Number two, shelter's fine. There's plenty of buildings and housing in the U.S. In some places, it's overbuilt. But food distribution is it's weird how food distribution is set up in the United States because we grow food. For example, beef cattle are grown in chickens, for example. Like North Carolina is a big producer of chickens and hogs. But the grain, the corn, the wheat, and the soybeans that are fed to the chickens and pigs come from the Midwest. So and now, believe it or not, we're getting our food supply from Asia. China, the USDA changed the law, I think about 5 years ago. You could be eating chicken that's supposedly from like Tyson chicken, but it was processed in China. How'd you like to be getting your chicken from Wuhan, China right now? So as that gets out, food security is going through the roof. So this is not a stock that, like I said, I got to disclose that I'm trying to buy this company. So I'm not trying to pump this. In fact, I wanted to go the other way. So I'm actually doing what's not in my best interest, which is telling you that I like these businesses. Someone said China has less cases in the U.S. right now. Maybe, because that's assuming that the Chinese government is trustworthy. So let's talk about some stock picks. Let me give you some specifics, and I'll tell you how I think about them. And I promised I'd give at least one stock tip, but I'm going to give more than one stock tip. And then I'm going to give a few, and I'm going to give my business partner a ring here. And so let's talk about some stocks that I think might interest you. And they're not besides the food business. Okay. I'm not going to give you all my stocks, but let's just talk about some interesting stocks in general right now. And by the way, when you're sitting at home, learn this stuff, man. This stuff makes the world go around. Everybody should have graduated from school understanding what we're about to talk about. So here's one called RDS B shares. So RDS is a Royal Dutch Shell, and they got different classes shares. So this is their B class. So you, by the way, you beginners, when you Google stuff, I hate that they set it to 1 day. It's kind of annoying because it makes the chart look different than it. Let's look at the 6-month chart. So this is a stock that was trading in the 60s, and you can see that it dropped March 18th to 19 bucks. Part of that, by the way, is because Saudi Arabia is the lowest cost producer of oil. So that's why you see, like right now, Putin is in a big war with Saudi Arabia over the production of who's going to sell oil, because basically Saudi Arabia can sell it cheaper than everybody. So companies, Norway, I used to live in Norway. It's an oil producing mecca, but guess what? They cannot compete with Saudi Arabia. The U.S. production of oil, Occidental, I was showing you this earlier. If you look here on Occidental, Occidental is a massive company. It's an American company, did $17 billion. By the way, Armand Hammer is the founder. You may know his grandson, great-grandson, the actor Armie Hammer. He's a rich kid. He got a good life. So this is an interesting stock going back to it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I got two not advisors, but business partners. One of them loves this stock and one of them doesn't. You know, this has been paying a high dividend. So I think the dividend yield was like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15%. So I'm going to tell you the pros and cons. The con of this business, one of the smartest guys I know, he does not like, when they pay a high dividend like this, it sounds like it'd be good. Oh, wow, I buy this and I get 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, but it's often indicative of other problems. And I don't want to get too advanced because we're going to lose some people. Some people don't even know what dividends are. By the way, dividends are basically distributions. So this company here, Royal Dutch Shell, if they have profit left over at the end of the year, they can give it out, distribute it out to their shareholders. So if they distribute $1 million and you own 1/millionth of the company, you get a $1 check. Sometimes you'll get, by the way, if you're ever a small, I remember when I first started investing in the stock market, this is like 2001 or 2, I would get checks for 20 cents. And I was like, damn, this check for 20 cents, the paper cost more than 20 cents. They would mail it to me with a 25-cent stamp on it. So just understand that dividends can be a good thing, but they can also be problematic. A lot of companies, very profitable companies, do not distribute dividends. But, as I told, and I don't want to be too confusing, what I want to show you is that smart people disagree on businesses like this. My opinion on this stock is wait and see. I'm not sure if I would buy this stock. So I'm just telling you, if you want my opinion, this is a wait and see. Simply because look, who uses a lot of oil? People driving in cars, trucking, airlines, and shipping. Although shipping is a tad bit different, but let's just say those 4 things. And then you have natural gas to heat homes and all this stuff. But people ain't driving cars right now at all. Trucking's still happening, but it's still reduced. And airlines are not flying at all. So I don't know when this is going to stop either. I have a feeling, here's my opinion of the virus. It's not as bad as we think. It is bad, but not as bad as the media makes it out to be. But fear is a hell of a drug, and fear lingers for a long time, potentially for, well, I'll tell you how long fear can linger. In 2007, everybody would teach their kids that the American dream is to own your own house. 2008 came, it wasn't a virus, the crash scared people so much, an entire generation of people no longer care about owning homes. People under 25 do not care. People under 30 do not care. They rent. They're like, hell no. My grandma, her big dream, buy a home. So what happens is with oil, with this particular RDS stock, I don't know that people are going to jump on airplanes anytime soon. I mean, they will jump on them, but they're not going to be flying as much. You know, imagine if your mom died or your grandma died or your friend of a friend died. You're going to be traumatized by that. So this is a stock, in my opinion, I'm going to wait and see on this oil stuff. I think that it's a dangerous game that you start playing. But, okay, let's talk about this. Another stock called TDOC. So telemedicine, everybody's talking about it. You no longer go into the doctor appointment. You know, you got whatever, you have a fever, you go on FaceTime, a doctor's sitting in his office across the world, across the country. He says, hey, lift up your tongue, let me see your tonsils. Okay, you have strep throat. Here's a prescription. Boom, I'm going to hit you with. Here's the problem with this. Remember this damn 1 day? So let's switch this to 6 months. You see how this stock's been going up. There's a show called Kramer. You guys ever seen Kramer's Stock Tip Show? He's been talking about this, which I think this would have been a good buy a little bit. Once it gets on Kramer, it's a little bit too late. So this thing, let's just look in November. I'll tell you when you would have wanted to get into this damn thing. The second they were talking about coronavirus, which was January, look at this thing, was hovering in the 80s. And now it peaked at 167. So that was a doubling of your money. To me, telemedicine is a great, it's a great concept. I think it's going to be big. I think that the next generation is not going to go into damn doctors. They're going to FaceTime 90% of the time. And obviously, if you broke your arm and you need something, but I'm talking about for flu. What do most people go to the doctor for? Minor shit, cold, antibiotics, stuff like that. So I have mixed feelings. I think this is a good stock. I think too many people are talking about it. So let me just say this. One of the damn problems with the stock market is you could buy this could be the right stock to buy, but if too many people have heard about it, all of a sudden all the profit's gone. All right, let's talk about Zoom stock because we're on Zoom right now. Zoom stock, 6 months. Look at this bad boy. Somebody said they got in at 100. All right, so 6 months. Look at this. If you had gotten into Zoom right when this coronavirus started, so you got to pay attention and read a lot. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. 500 pages a day. Look at this. $68 2 months ago. Peaked up here at what, 160-ish? So again, doubling your money. But again, I don't like things that everybody's talking about, man. I think that the media is stupid in general. So I'm going to tell you a rule. I'm going to give you some of Ty's rules. Okay? I believe in collective intelligence, by the way. I believe social media gives a lot of clues. Okay? Number 2, I think mass media is dumb. So I like to do the opposite. If I hear about the mass media saying too many things, I don't believe it anymore. So everybody in mass media is saying you should buy Zoom. Jack says he bought Zoom 6 months ago. Now we're talking. Jack, 6 months ago, it was at 79. So you did well. You did well, my friend. Tai, do you see a future in Tesla stock? Ooh, you guys are throwing hard ones at me. Okay, here's the thing about Tesla. Pros and cons. Okay, pros and cons. Pros, you have a very intelligent CEO, arguably one of the most visionary entrepreneurs of our time. So I like that about it. I actually have had some interesting one-on-one conversations with Elon Musk. I've had 3 one-on-one conversations with Elon Musk in my life. He's a very kind of shy guy, so it's hard to have talks with him. But he's very smart, very smart. I can tell you he listens a lot. I was at the Game of Thrones world premiere in Hollywood, and I had talked to him a couple months before. He likes to go to movie premieres, by the way. So I used to go to a lot of movie premieres. So I met him at one with Dolph Lundgren, and then I was at this Game of Thrones thing, and he asked me, he said, Tai, what do you think? He started asking me questions about Snapchat, whether I thought Tesla should go on Snapchat, and he listened. He's a very interesting guy. I always respect him more from meeting him in person because smart people listen. So here's the problem I have with Tesla. Look at this. Okay. In November, it's at 320. Now, it's not even been 6 months. It's shot to 900 at its peak recently. I'm trying to think to myself, in the world we live in, coronavirus world, are a lot of people going to buy Teslas? And I'm worried about that. Are a lot of people going to go buy Teslas right now? Are people in China going to buy Teslas? China's wiped out, man. Just trust me, China's in for a world of hurt. Their supply chain, I know, I own companies that we have supply chain through China. So I think Tesla's a good bet long term. It's a strong brand, man, with a strong, powerful genius. But I'm not sure if you're already in the stock, but man, I'm not sure I want to get in this thing. I mean, fundamentals. I'm a fundamental guy. Is this company twice as good a company in the last 4 months? I don't see it. Why is it twice as good? Have they come up with new technology? I mean, they got the new truck and yeah, I don't know. Okay, someone said Tai basically hasn't given us anything to invest in. I know, I'm getting there. My friend. You got to have a build-up in this world. But this is important too. It's also important to know maybe what not to invest in. So I think Tesla's a buy, but I got to see this thing. For me, it's got to go down. Somebody asked about GNC. GNC is a company I'm trying to buy the whole company. I'm just waiting for them to go bankrupt. So I already have GNC up. I watch this thing every day. Look at GNC, the supplement company. Woo! This company I would short. That's my opinion. Now, I don't want to talk about shorting because that's more complicated for the beginners that are on here. You have to basically, don't start with taking short positions. You start with taking long positions. Long, by the way, means you buy it to hold it. Short basically means you're betting against it. But look at this bad boy. It's down to 33 million market cap. They almost missed a debt payment. So, by the way, I work with a lot of the investment bankers, so I know how these companies work. I know that credit bids happen. I know what Article 9s are. If you don't know what that is, that's more advanced. Even you advanced guys probably know what Article 9 credit bidding, 363 sales, that's stuff that I do. So GNC, boy. For me, I'm going to tell you what I think of GNC. I don't think you guys should buy GNC or sell. I mean, I don't think you should own GNC. I don't think you should short it because look where it's at. I think GNC is one that I buy the whole thing. That's my greedy side. That won't help you guys, but that's what I'm trying to do with GNC. So I'm not going to talk too much on GNC because I'm going to buy it. It's got too many stupid stores. Nobody fucking goes to stores anymore, especially now. Remember, I want you to go through this and always, I'm going to give you something that's gold. Ask yourself, look at this chart right here, 6 months. Because the world's changed in the last 6 months, my friend. It's changed at epic levels. Okay, fundamentally, the world isn't even the same world. Really, I don't care if this corona thing passes or not. There's never been a time where Americans have been locked in their damn houses. Never. Not one freaking week. Not during World War I, World War II. London, it happened. In London, they weren't locked in the day. They could walk in the day only when the bombs, when the Luftwaffe, the Nazi Air Force, dropped bombs. So I think when I look at this company, what do I see? I see the market's right. 6 months ago, it was up $3-4. Still not very good. It's not a very well-managed company, by the way. But I think this is right. The damn thing's less valuable now. So there's no stock play to, you're trying to find things that the market doesn't see. And I think the market understands GNC very well. It was a not very good company, and now it's a shitty company. So I don't have good advice for you as to what to do, except what I'm trying to do is wait for the damn thing to go bankrupt, and I'll show up at they're called 363 sales. It's a full creditor clearing bankruptcy option. But you're not going to be able to go to a bankruptcy auction unless you are bigger. Okay. I'm going to get Alex to come on in a few, and I'm going to give you, let's talk about a stock that I do like. How about that? Since people like to complain. Blah, blah, blah. Delta. Let's talk about Delta for a second. Okay. Let's set our chart to 6 months just for shits and giggles. I'm doing everything the same. Okay. 6 months. So here's my question to you. 6 months ago, it was trading at $60. It dipped down here to 21. Do I think 1/3 of flights will happen in the long term? And you can set this chart out longer. Let's look at a 5-year chart. So this thing has consistently traded about $60. Okay? Now, in the last 6 months, the world changed. Do I think people are going to go back to flying? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But where you got to fly now. My grandma lives in San Diego. I live here. Do I believe that airlines will be bailed out? Yes, I do. The U.S. government is not going. They might let me and your small business fail, unfortunately, but you're going to lose airlines? Yes. Someone says, don't you look at the balance sheet? Yeah. There's a chance, by the way, Delta fails. No stock. Everything I'm telling you, it's not 100%. That's why you got to diversify a little bit. I'm just telling you, my call was I was saying this a couple days ago. When Warren Buffett buys something, buy the damn thing. When Warren Buffett, I think it higher than it is now. Your ideal dip was right here in the 20s. I think that was, yeah. So, me personally, you asked me for a buy. Look, Brian Ray bought at 21. You know? Nate said, I saw Buffett bought. I think people are going to fly, man. I just do. I could be wrong, but I think people are going to fly. Cruise ships, I do not like. No. Don't ask me why I've got this on Yahoo Finance, but I was looking through look at this on a cruise ship. This is called the balance sheet for those of you who don't know. So you have, your P&L, they call your income statement, your balance sheet, which shows your debt and equity, and you have your statement of cash flow. So your P&L, you can have a profit but no cash flow. I don't want to get more complicated, but really statement of cash flow people forget to look at is very important. But let's look at the balance sheet on, this is Carnival Cruise Line. This thing scares me. It has, look at the long-term debt this thing has. $9.6 billion in debt. So, I don't know. You can look at current assets, $2 billion. Look, this net receivables, That's not a good thing. And inventory, not necessarily a good thing in the modern world. Net receivables means like you're owed money for stuff. Inventory is just that, like they might be sitting on food and stuff. That might all be lost. So this might be garbage. They have $500 million in cash, and they got this man, I don't know how anybody buys this one. I do not. I can see a world where people don't go back flying in a cruise. Let me ask you. We're going to use collective intelligence, social media. Do any of you want to go take a cruise this year, or are you just going to take a break? Who here even takes a cruise? No young people. You know who takes cruises? Old people. Should old people be getting out of their house? Hell no. And by the way, there's a good chance coronavirus comes back. If you look at the Spanish influenza in 1918-19, that time, the thing came back 3 times. So this thing 6 months ago was at $43. It dipped down to 12, 15. So it's basically a third of its value. But I'm just like, it's funny. Never listen to Yahoo Finance. It just has this little bar and says it's undervalued. I don't know. I think it's a shitty business. I could totally be wrong, but I see a world where cruise ships go bankrupt. Now, the U.S. government is talking about bailing out them, which is the wild card in this. But I would not buy. People talk, by the way, buying the dip is where you wait for something to go down like now and you buy it low. But this thing might go lower. I just don't like it. If you want to mess with cruises, go for it. I don't like cruises. I ain't a cruise guy, man. I'm like, fuck that. That thing is nasty. I'm not going for it. Take your time. If you want to go for it, go for it. I'm not going to do it. Does anybody here like the cruise thing? Who likes cruises? I got to know, because maybe you know something I don't know. Let's talk. What do I not know? The only possible reason to invest in cruises is if the government bails them out with a crazy amount of money. Cruise ships turn them into hospitals? Well, then it has to be basically nationalized. Yeah, I don't know. Airlines are the best travel stock. I think hotels have a chance. I could see people going back to hotels. I think that I don't see people going. You know, an interesting thing, a little side note, my brain goes all over the place. Very interesting thing. Have you seen this guy, this DJ that went on Instagram and he did like a virtual party, and he had like 100,000 people live? What was his name? DJ something. I forget his name. No, not Diplo. It was a dude out of D.C. or Baltimore. Obama was on it, like DJ Nice. The guy gained like 1 million Instagram followers or something in one day. And I wonder how the music industry is going to do. Because once again, are we going to go immediately back to concerts? Maybe. I'd rather bet on music concerts than Carnival Cruise Line. But it was interesting, like, dude, I'll tell you what to bet on. E-commerce stuff, man. E-com. That's the future, in my opinion. Let me bring my business partner on real fast, and you can ask him some questions. And then I know I'm talking longer than I planned to talk, but I hope you guys, this is important stuff to learn right here, man. There's money to be made. I'm going to put a link up in a second. If you want to start joining, I'm going to do a test group, okay? I'm going to take a small group of my followers, and over 1 year, I'm going to give you, me and my business partners, my group's stock advice. Tell you what to buy, what we think the trends are, and something you can make money from home. That's the cool thing about the stock market. And depending on which of the quadrant that you decide to take, it doesn't take a lot of time. So if you take a less active approach, a less high velocity, like my business partner does, you don't have to mess with it very often. Joshua said he wants to be in the group. What do I think about Clorox? The problem with Clorox, I told you, the damn media has been all over it. You need stuff that the media doesn't see. That's the problem, is the media blows up the opportunity. And that's a problem. Delta Airlines. Should I invest in Uber right now? Let's talk about that while I wait for Alex to come on. So Uber. Here's the thing about Uber. I'm just going to ask you right now. We got a group here. We got almost 1,000 people on. What's your call? Are you more likely to use Uber now or not use Uber now? Not right now when it's let's say we come out of quarantine. So 2 months from now, whenever it's going to be. Are you going to do Uber Pool? Uber Pool is a problem because I never wanted to use Uber Pool before. And a big part of Uber's business was Uber Pool because it was cheap. But now do you want to get in a car that picks up 6 or 7 people along the way? You're stuck in the middle sitting next to people? Whew, but you got to be intelligent. Uber Eats is doing well. Uber Eats is doing well. So the question is, will Uber Eats make up for the loss of Uber Pool? So let's look at how the world changed over the last 6 months. It's been trading. 6 months ago, before Corona, it was at $30. It dropped to 14. That was an interesting time. But now you're back up to 26. I don't know. This is not my favorite one. Too many people talking about it, and I have a hard time to me, it seems like you buy this stock and it just stays here for a long time. It just hovers between 25 and $30. So I'm not so, I don't know. It doesn't excite me. Somebody says Uber is overvalued. Who thinks it's overvalued? Right over or under? Who thinks Uber is a good deal? Right, undervalued. Okay, over, super over. One person said under. Daniel said under. So it looks like it's about 80% of people think it's overvalued. You know, sometimes the wisdom of the crowd is accurate, not the wisdom of media because it's not a big enough sample set. Yeah. What about Square? Enrique sold at about $40. Yeah, but Enrique, when did you get? I never liked this. I'll tell you this. Be careful with IPOs. Well, I had a mentor a long time ago. He's like, stay away from IPOs. So I tend to stay away from IPOs. You know why? Because okay. Sorry, I accidentally muted. I accidentally called my business partner. Two-way called him in. Let's talk about a couple other quick ones. So I've given you one that I like. Let's talk about something. Before Alex comes, let's talk about something. I got something controversial. What are we thinking about Facebook stock? What do we think about Facebook? What do we think about Facebook? This has made the youngest billionaire ever. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, if you age adjust his wealth, he's the wealthiest guy out there. He's worth whatever, $60 billion, and he's like 30-something. Okay, let's look at this 6-month chart. Again, fundamentals here. Do we believe that fundamentally 6 months ago, it was at $180. It shot up to 200, okay, in January, right before Corona. And now it's dropped all the way down. Why do you think? Oh, no sound. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Aha. Give me a second. Can you guys hear me? Yes or no? Thumbs up. is on. Alex, let me, I think I can unmute you. Alex is in quarantine. He's not sick, but Alex is, let me see if I can get Alex to show here. How do I got to get my team to, there we go. There's Alex. Let me see if I can somehow spotlight you or pin you, actually.
It says I've been spotlighted.
You're spotlighted?
That's what it said, yeah.
Okay. Can you guys see Alex? He's got a pink shirt on or red shirt or something, and he's quarantined in a unnamed location for his privacy, trying to get away from this all. So Alex, so quick introduction if you came late. Alex is a business partner in a lot of my businesses. He just sold his company for $300 million. It's called Zeusk. Did you post a picture of you, Dr. Mayer? Is his Instagram. Do you have a picture where you rang the New York Stock Exchange bell?
Picture? I mean, I have a video somewhere. It is. Yeah,
we have a video somewhere. Okay. Can you guys see Alex? So Alex, let me just ask you, oops, this is not you.
No,
what did I do wrong?
Wrong. I did a gender.
I was like, wait a second.
At Dr. Alex.
That is not Alex, unless Alex has gone through some serious surgery since I saw him last.
There's an extra S in there. There's an extra S in there.
Yeah, I got rid of it. Here he is. Okay. If you want to follow Alex here. Okay, Alex. Yeah. Let's talk about your philosophy on a few stocks. You can see my little screen here. So let's talk about this high dividend oil stock, Royal Dutch Shell.
Yeah.
What are you calling on? Because Alex does not like this stock. Tell me why. It's very informative for it.
Because the PE ratio is high, because the price dropped quite a bit, but the market allows the price to drop a lot because it anticipates for the dividend to be cut. Does that make sense? If it was basically, right. If they expected the dividend to remain at this level, everybody would buy the company for its dividend. So the expectation of the market, so the market knows something, unless your thesis is that they're not going to cut their dividend, I think the market has adjusted for it. So it is not, that's kind of my 2 cents. There's a reason, meaning there's a reason why the company has out of whack dividend ratio.
Now, I'm going to share a stock. I'm going to give you guys another stock. This is Alex likes this stock. So I want you to explain it, Alex.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Brazilian, it's the ETF.
Yes.
You want to,
EWZ.
what
EWZ.
What is it again?
EWZ.
All right, write this down. EWZ.
Right.
So this is a iShares Brazilian index. Let's look at the 6 months. What do you like about it?
So the market is, so basically when there's panic in the market, you want to buy. That everybody has heard that, right? And then I go one step further. I'm like, where the fear is maximum. So that part of the market is probably the part where you want to buy. And if you just scroll on a Tai, just look at the peak and trough a little bit.
Yeah.
$48.
So let's go. What you want me to do 1 year?
Yeah, 1 year is good. So peak is, what is it, 48? 48 almost.
Yeah, around 47, 48. Yep.
Yeah. And see what Corona did to Brazilian stock market. Go to the right, to the top.
Yep. I mean, at its bottom is 20.
20, yeah. So it went from 48 to 20. That is 60% retracement. So the market is basically betting, I don't know, that Brazil will get annihilated forever, which I think it's basically, I feel the fear there. Yes, the Corona situation is serious. Yes, it's going to deliver a blow to all the countries. Yes, Brazil is probably going to enter 1 quarter, or if not more, of recession. But does that justify a 60% retracement from the top for a fast-growing, highly populated country with, you know, it's a big market, it has a lot of big companies, and I don't see those like Brazil getting a 60% drop. I think it's I'm not long Brazil yet, but I'm planning to buy this in the next dip. Basically,
Yeah, so you're gonna wait
Brazil
for a dip.
is not gonna go into become like, you know, some third world country. I mean, it's a developing country, but I'm assuming that it's gonna recover to a certain extent.
Multiple.
Joshua says most of us can't buy ETFs.
Why do you say that? If you can have a simple, depends on what ETF. Sometimes some brokerage accounts don't allow leverage ETFs, but I mean, if you have a Robinhood account or an E-Trade account, you should be able to easily buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the leverage one, the leverage ETFs, you got to be careful.
That's right.
One of my buddies loves leverage ETFs. Alex, you do not like them.
Yeah. So the thing about leverage ETFs is that there's this thing called friction inside ETF. So it's a cost of operating an ETF. And leverage ETFs are particularly high cost and high friction. So you cannot buy them for long periods of time, because the friction penalizes you over a long period of time if you hold it. So, but if you have a short-term thesis, you can use ETFs. I don't do short-term trading anymore. I used to, and back then I used a lot of leverage ETFs, but nowadays I just don't.
Yeah, going back to this, I was talking to them, Alex, on basically the tactics. You know, the 4 tactics are broad, focused, high velocity, low velocity. And I said, Dr. Mayer is broad and low velocity,
Exactly.
Lowest risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I like focus plus low velocity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm a little more freewheeler, although Alex takes the spin.
Well, I used to be very concentrated, very focused, and I would bet like leverage bets. And I was higher velocity too. It's just like it doesn't, given that the way to think about it is like, if they call it the barbell distribution. So I have a lot of high risk assets in the form of startups or companies that Tai and I buy. So you want to you have a lot of high risk. So the risk is not uniformly distributed. You have a lot of high risk. You want to offset that with a lot of low risk. So they call it the barbell strategy. So if you have a lot of high risk assets, then you go to low risk, a lot of low risk. Does that make sense, Tai?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the things we're going to show you guys is how to create a portfolio that has some semblance of diversification. One of the problems with the stock market, like a lot of people are asking about Robinhood. If you just go and open a Schwab account, Robinhood, when you don't know, it's a little bit like the gym. Like, I see people in the gym and I just think that person's never going to get in shape, and at best they're going to hurt themselves. I had this neighbor in Hollywood. I lived in this house for 6 years. Every single evening, he would come jogging past me. He was an overweight guy, not super overweight, but let's say 50 pounds overweight. He jogged every single night for 6 years, never lost 1 pound. He looked if I had taken a picture of him in 2009 and another picture in 2015, he looked exactly the same. The reason was he had no coach. He didn't have somebody being like, yo, you can't just jog and then go back and eat Oreos. So Alex, I was saying, you know, one of the reasons I'm rolling out this investor newsletter is very simple. You can get hurt very easily. You can do a lot of activity and make no money in the stock market. Most people lose 10 times more than they gain in the stock market.
Well, actually, most people lose because they get whiplash. So especially in a market like this, they get whiplash. So the stock goes down. They're like, you know, they buy, and then the stock goes lower. They freak out, they sell, and then it rallies. Yeah. They're like, oh shit, I'm missing. So they buy, and it goes down. They freak out and sell. That's literally, I bet you, the story of a lot of people right now.
Yeah. Somebody said, stop promoting your damn Robin. Yeah, for all of you who are putting links to Robinhood, I don't think anybody's going to click on your Robinhood link. By the way, I don't make money from Robinhood. As of today, I'm not an affiliate. Maybe one day I'll be an affiliate of Robinhood. But, Alex, let's do a speed round of questions for you. I'm going to get your opinion, and then Alex is busy working on other stuff. Alex, what do you think about marijuana stocks?
I'm pessimistic on marijuana in general. I think it's becoming commoditized pretty quickly. Anything basically. So the thing is, I've seen these things before. I don't know if some of you guys might have been trading for a long time, but Tai, about 10 years ago, 3D printing was the hottest thing. So they had this thesis that, every human will have a 3D printer and they would be 3D printing everything in their house.
Your house will be made.
Yeah, I'm going to print it. And then 3D stocks, they just skyrocketed to insane levels because there was hype around it. So you can trade something like that. You can buy early and then sell if you really know what you're doing.
High velocity.
Yeah, exactly. If you're high velocity and you're skilled, you can make money on it. But most people lose because they learn about the trend too late, and then they buy it literally at the top and the thing crashes. So I think marijuana is kind of the same situation. Like, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. It's almost impossible to, every time I'm giving a talk, I'm like, hey, do you guys have an idea to talk about? Like literally in every room, half of the people in the room are working on a marijuana startup or they have an idea on it. So, how much demand is there in the world? Like, it feels like it's like literally at the top, at the peak.
There's enough marijuana for everybody to be Snoop Dogg 24/7. Okay, Alex, what do you think? Let's take 3 questions. That was the first one. Second question, what is your opinion on Airbnb?
It's interesting.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, it is a tough question. Airbnb is gonna get a hit because of so long-term bull, short-term bearish. So let me put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long-term, it has a lot of protection. It has the formula. It's a two-sided marketplace, so it has a network effect that protects it, but it's gonna get a hit because of Corona. And
remember, this is not one you can. Airbnb is not publicly traded.
Right.
So
yes. So, but
for some people, I don't want people to be. They still have stock, but it's not available to you unless you basically are friends or an institutional investor. So some people, we have a lot of beginners on here, so we have to let people know. What do you think of? Okay, last question. We already did Sprint Airlines. Okay, we got somebody. I told him that I think that Delta Airlines is a buy. So, what do you think of Spirit Air?
I don't know much about them. I know more about Delta. Delta is the one with the strongest cash balance. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
And Warren Buffett invested in.
Yeah, you gotta look at the company's cash balance. Right now, it's all a game of cash balance, basically.
Or government bailout. You got 2 choices here.
That's right.
Let's look at the financials real quick. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the beauty of publicly traded companies is their financials are public. Yeah. People don't know that. People only click. So here you can, where's my balance? This is just their cash on hand, almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, don't always take these with a grain of salt. You need to go actually and look like Google, or God help you if you look at Yahoo Finance. They're not very accurate, so be very careful. MGM, okay, one last one. This is a good one. MGM Resort. What do you call it on that, Alex?
It is too risky. If you have a thesis, like for example, if you say, hey, casino stocks are going to make a comeback, I'm sure there's an ETF that traces like a bunch of them. Or if you have that specific thesis, invest in a bunch of, but I tell you this, Tai, I think think about casinos and chips, right? So people just handing over chips back and forth and like
touching chips and getting coronaviruses.
It's like germ transmission machine are those chips. So even if coronavirus, like let's say the vaccine is not going to be available for a year, but let's say in a year, in like a few months, we are back to normal. There's still a good chunk of the population that are traumatized by this experience, so they will be thinking, okay, am I going to touch these chips? So I think there's going to be some lingering effect. I don't know to what extent.
My opinion is, if this thing dips enough, I would buy it. It dipped to $7, and at its peak in the last 6 months, it was at 30. I'm willing, just me, because I told you I have a slightly more aggressive approach than Alex. I'm willing to spin the wheel on MGM. It's a very large company. It potential gets a bailout. Let's see their. But
have in mind, Tai, if they get the bailout,
$2.3 billion in cash.
If they get the bailout, they will not be able to most likely do stock buybacks. So there are going to be restrictions in terms of how much value they can pass to the shareholder. Does that make sense? So,
but I'm a focused but long-term investor. I'm a low frequency.
Right.
So this is one I would hold for, I'd buy this to hold for years. And I can see people going back, believe it or not, I can see people going back to Vegas. Yeah. People are insane in Vegas. People go to Vegas and they're already catching diseases in Vegas. So I feel like Vegas is one of those ones where it will defy logic. Like cruise lines, no, because nobody goes, what happens on a cruise line stays on a cruise line. But people go, what happens in Vegas stays on Vegas. You go to Vegas, you got more people that are wacky, crazy. I can just see people go, I'm out of this damn isolation at home. I'm going to Vegas. So I don't know. Vegas, I'm a big believer in brand names. MGM's a strong brand name. They own they own Bellagio. They own Mandalay Bay. So last one I'm going to do, and then I'm going to let Alex go. Netflix.
Yeah, that's a buy. I would bet on Netflix. I think content having this, like basically the way I think about it is Netflix is the modern day Disney. So people say, oh, so everybody can create a streaming service. I'm like, not really. Basically what happens is that over time you build an intellectual property portfolio, and then you build on that. Just like Disney has all these intellectual property that they keep monetizing and they create new ones. I think Netflix is the modern day Disney. So I would bet on it.
And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you a time to have bought. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
When people are fearful, this thing dropped to $298.
Yeah.
A week ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think people are staying at home. People are on Netflix. The only problem with Netflix is you have Disney Plus coming out. You have basically everybody and their brother, even ABC, NBC trying to roll out. So what Alex is saying is if they can control content. One problem with Netflix is they lost The Office, which is being a big source. So for me, go ahead.
But they have a lot of now, they have like or Netflix original. So Netflix original is becoming a bigger and bigger piece of it. So
that's what I said. This is a smart company, well run. Think how good the app is on Netflix. Like I use HBO Go. It's fucking annoying. Right. HBO Go, I have two apps on my phone. One is if you have Time Warner cable at your house, you can use your Time Warner one. But if you don't have Time Warner, because now I let all my TV go, I don't even watch TV. So now I had to download HBO Now, where I pay a monthly fee on Netflix. I said, what kind of dipshits built two apps for the same HBO? Like HBO is compared, that Netflix is a huge advantage. I never hear people say, I'm going to HBO and chill.
Yeah.
Like people Netflix and chill.
But if you want to build a position by Netflix, definitely don't, let's say you want to spend like whatever amount on Netflix, don't run tomorrow and buy it. what I would do is I would average in. So for 10 days, 20 days, I would just every day buy so that you kind of build your position. Because
and you can average in even over more time. You can average in quarterly.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, if you want to be more conservative,
yes.
You can average into the, okay. Alex, I don't want to take too much. Me and Alex are working on buying a company right now that's in the UK.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy.
All right.
I see the dog in the background. All right, Alex, okay, so Alex is going to jump off. Everybody say hello to Alex.
All right.
And so let's talk about crypto for 1 second, cryptocurrency. I got to go. I've been going longer than I thought. So we're already here for an hour and a half. So here's the thing on crypto. It's very volatile right now. Be careful with crypto. Be very careful. The problem in the crypto world is that nobody's producing tokens that have real utility. Ripple, some people say, but Ripple's its own kind of use case. A lot of money was stolen from people in token sales. A lot. You have huge companies disappearing. You have people dying, and they had they were the only ones with access to the funds, so hundreds of millions of dollars is frozen. It's still a little Wild West. I think that blockchain has a lot of potential. So does crypto. I still tend to be optimistic about Bitcoin. I personally like Bitcoin, actually BTC, just because it's the only one with a strong name brand. I'm a big name brand person. Warren Buffett bets on name brands. I like to do what Warren Buffett does in many cases, but there are use cases. I'm just saying there's a whole nother conversation about crypto. Let me do this. I didn't plan to go this long. So in summary, I want to do this before. I'm going to put a link up. There's a lot of Q&A that I want to answer. And I want to show you how I use social media, how I have a very unique way to select things that I think have a higher chance of being winners than other things. So I'm launching this test group, okay? So you, believe it or not, you guys are the actual first people to see this, okay? I'm going to put a link. Let me get the link here in a second. You'll have to type it in. If you want to go get into this group, it's very simple. Let me get the link here. Okay. So it's just tailopez.com/stocks. Oops, stocks, okay? Let me put it up here, actually, so it's larger. Oop. Okay, this is my test group. And basically, it's a small group. We talked a lot of stuff. Me and Alex, and I have another business partner that doesn't want to come on these, but he's going to be in the newsletter. So it's a weekly stock pick newsletter. It's going to take you from A to Z if you know nothing about the stock market or if you're advanced. For beginner or advanced, okay? For beginner or advanced, there's going to be something for you. We're going to have, this is not free, by the way. I'm doing this free advice right now. We've talked about 10 stocks. But I want to take a handful of people, and I want to take you through 1 year, build your portfolio. We have 3 different, remember we got the different tactics here. So we're going to show you if you're more conservative, like Alex, Dr. Mayer, we're going to build a portfolio. If you are, hold on 1 second. Somebody said investing in funeral homes. So we're going to basically build out different portfolios, 3 different ones: low risk, medium risk, and high risk. I'm not going to build out high velocity focus stuff. If you're interested in high velocity focus, like, you need to go somewhere else. It's just, I shouldn't say too dangerous. It's just not, it's too time consuming. And hold on one second. I'm going to see if I can get my other business partner. Come on. What about 5G? Hospital REITs are good. How is this different from your How to Invest program? So my How to Invest program is like a broad-based program. This is very specific. Every single week, so let me just show you how this works. You will get picks. By the way, you want to get in today because you know what tomorrow is, right? It's the release of the jobs numbers. Tomorrow is going to be insane. Insane. Like, some things are going to drop, and it's going to be the best day, in my opinion, to buy something. Okay? So, yeah, I would watch right now simply because, yeah, Thursday, job numbers come out. This might be the most shocking job numbers in the last, I don't know, 100 years. We'll see. Simply because unemployment was tracked at 18% in California if you count furloughed stuff. California used to get, like, let's say 2,000 unemployment requests in a day. They're getting like 40 or 100,000 in a day. And that will have a huge effect on the stock market. So this is, I wanted to do this before Thursday because I'm like, guys, this is the day to jump into this group. This is the day. And I'm gonna put, so my goal is I'm gonna let 300 people come in the group and to be in the test group. Okay. So I was just gonna say Thursday's job numbers, huge day tomorrow. We're gonna have our stock picks tomorrow for you after this. Okay. This is a paid group, by the way. Why do I do paid? Because if I do it free, I'll get like 10,000 people in the group, and it'll actually, you don't want 10,000 people doing your stock picks because it actually moves the market around, you know? So I don't want to get in that situation where, like, I have 10 million followers. If I say, hey, I'm going to release on my social media my daily stock picks, like I said, with Blue Apron, there's already, that New York Post article already launched. I was trying to buy it when it was cheap, and then New York Post wrote an article about me, and the damn stock went through the roof. So it made me harder to buy. So that's why I don't want to have 50,000 people in this group. So the best way is I'm like, hey, if you're really serious about this, just think about it. Yeah, you're going to spend some money, but you can make money with this, number one. Number two, this is cheaper than launching a business. Remember, with the stock market, you put money in on your phone, and then you're a passive investor. So it moves around without you doing anything. And I do believe you should start your own business, to be sure. I'm not saying don't start your own business, but I'm saying passive income is important. That's why basically 99% of people who are wealthy have money in some form of stock market investment, or sometimes, like I said, they have closely held control of large businesses. But the point being, they own shares. Remember when I went back to this Forbes list? What do all these people have in common? They don't own real estate, they own shares. Now, these people are different because they own controlling interests in large brands, but the principle is the same. And, you know, 200 years ago, you couldn't do this. My grandma couldn't have done this in 1918, born in Germany. There wasn't established markets like we had now. Now you have the opportunity to take a piece of these on a passive basis. We're going to handhold you through. If you're more advanced, you don't need the handholding. But I can promise you that I'm going to give you unique insights. You know, Forbes has me listed as, here's a list right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is Forbes.com, top tech influencers in the world. It has me, and it's got Tim Ferriss, Gary Vee. So I have insight as a tech influencer that I actually can see patterns. I started doing this in 2001. I've been doing e-commerce since 2001. So I have kind of a unique angle, I guess is what I'm saying, that you're not going to get from any other newsletter. If you follow Kramer or whatever, too many people follow him. I told you, that's the problem with these guys like Kramer. You want to get advice from somebody who's telling 100,000 people to, or I should say 1 million people to buy that stock. That's why there's actually people who do the exact opposite. Whatever they see Kramer do, they do the opposite. So this is going to be a small group. We're going to take care of you, pay attention to you, and give you the stock picks that we think are going to make money. I mean, you're in the stock market to make money, right? You're not here for give money away, although that's what most people do. So I'm going to take some more questions in a second, but what was I going to say? I saw some interesting questions. Someone says, a friend of mine is a date. Okay, let me read off and welcome some people coming to the group. Dominic Kennedy Lindner, welcome to the group, my friend. Alex Hart in Valencia, Spain. Hope you're doing well in Spain, my friend. Carlos Barrientos, welcome to the group. West Virginia, not far from me. Edmund in Seymour, Indiana. Welcome to the group. Guten Talk, is that your real name? Somebody put their name as Guten Talk. In East Wenatchee, Washington. Shane Delaney, welcome to the group. Acton, Massachusetts. John Lyons, Chicago, Illinois. All right, I won't read all of these and bore you, but let me see who's the first one in. I'm going to keep your name up here. I think this is going to grow to be, if I'm not careful, it's going to grow to be a huge group, so it'll be cool to be the first one. Let me see who's the first one here, sorry. I got to do a search here, hold on. Because I think there was somebody who did it before John Lyons. Sorry, John. Love Chicago. You guys make good pizza, but let me see here. Okay, the very first person was Sharif in Egypt. Wow. And then after that was Richard Mataka in Toms River, New Jersey. So the first three honorary members are Sharif, Richard Mataka, John Lyons. Boom. Welcome to the group, my friend. By the way, some bonuses of being in the group. I really think it's funny. You're going to learn so much about entrepreneurship by being in this test group, because think about it. What did I say earlier? The stock market is basically a reflection of business skills. That's all it is. People get all confused on the market, and they're like, well, Tai, you know, what is a stock? Like, why is it blah, 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 blah? And I'm like, listen, it's nothing to do with that. It's business skill. So those of you trying to build a social media marketing agency, those of you trying to build an entrepreneurial venture from home, check the stock market every day for 15 minutes. Learn. For example, one of the things, you know what Warren Buffett does? He reads 8 hours a day. Now, here's the interesting thing. So he's here on the Forbes list, right here, number 3. Okay? I think he's the best businessman in history. He pledged to give 99% of his money away. He's already donated $3.4 billion. He's always around. Sometimes he's the richest person in the world, and now he's second. But he started studying the stock market, I kid you not, at age 7. At age 12, he said he had read every single book in the Omaha library system. That's where he grew up, in Nebraska. Age 7. He filed right here you can see, he bought his first stock at age 11 and filed taxes at age 13. He had a huge advantage over us. I think about, what the hell was I doing when I was 11? I was like, playing stupid video games. Fine, nothing wrong with video games, but I wish I had spent half the time I spent on video games learning the stock market. The guy was having to file taxes at 13. I have a mentor, this guy named Richard. He made so much money. See, it used to be legal he's older, in the 60s, to do what's now called insider trading. There was less rules about it. So he had this mentor that would give him stock tips. You can't do this anymore. It's different. They would have insider information. He was making $100,000 a week in the 60s while he was in high school. Can't do that anymore. But you still can invest in the stock market. You just can't get inside information. You can't, if your buddy is the CEO of Delta Airlines, you can't call him up and be like, hey, what's going to happen tomorrow? That shit will get you in jail. But you used to be able to do a lot of stuff you can't do anymore. But my point being is, started young. So I don't know what age you are. I can look at the pictures of people. I see people of all different ages. Invest in yourself, man. Invest in yourself. And there's lots of sources of learning about the stock market. I'm not saying I'm the only source, but I'm telling you, me and my friends are a great source. We will give you insight that Kramer doesn't have. We'll give you insight that you're not going to get on YouTube videos. We're going to give you insights you're not going to get on free sites. These are the actual moves that we think are the best moves based on our experience. I started in finance with GE Capital in 2001. Okay? I was a CFP, IAR, all that stuff, wealth manager, 10 years, way before I had an Instagram account. So this is really my first thing before I was even in the world that so many people know me as right now. So I'm going to answer some more questions. There were so many comments. I'm going to go back. I missed some of your guys' comments, so I'm going to try to answer some of my opinions on the stocks. But I gave you a free tip. Delta. Watch tomorrow, by the way. I would wait for a dip. I think there'll be a dip. My guess is the job numbers are not going to be amazing. I mean, nobody's expecting they're going to be amazing, but I think that they will move the markets. Remember, if you can be cool under pressure, you have a huge advantage over other people. Be cool. Be calm. Okay, so this is a paid group. You're going to get weekly tips, sometimes more often, okay? We're going to give stock tips, plus we'll give some crypto too. Like I said, the crypto world's smaller, so at least in my opinion, the reputable crypto world, there's many more stocks that you can trade, because not only do you have stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, but you have NASDAQ and you have the FTSE and you have in the UK and you got the Nikkei and you got blah, blah, blah. You can go on what's the Mumbai Stock Exchange? I forget the name. But there are endless possibilities. Crypto is a smaller world. There's not 1,000 good crypto coins. Trust me. If somebody's like, got the best token, there's thousands of them. Do not believe that. You're being lied to. There's a few good cryptos. And one of the problems in crypto world is it also attracts a lot of crazy people. And you don't really, remember, all things that you should invest in are businesses. Even crypto, at their core, not BTC, but a lot of the utility tokens, they're supposed to be used for a purpose, meaning the business owner, the CEO has to be good. That's what I was saying about Tesla earlier. Like, the reason I like Tesla, if it had a different CEO, I would not be so much of a bull, you know? But as I said, I think Tesla right now is a little bit overpriced, if you ask me. By the way, I see some people's credit card is declined. Try a different card. My team can try to reach out to you and take your card over the phone if you need to. We use a 256-bit SSL encrypted site. It's very safe, very secure. First tips will come tomorrow. You'll be on a special email list that no one else will have. By the way, one rule. Let me just say this. One rule. You cannot publicly reshare our tips. You cannot resell them, okay? If we see that, we're going to take action. You know, don't do that. This is like me trusting people. I want to build a small group, you know, be a fair person. Don't go out and Anyway, you're stupid to do that because you don't want to tell everybody what you're doing. That's the first rule of life, man. If you tell everybody what you're doing, they'll copy you and it won't work anymore. Okay? So let me put this link in here real quick. Where did I put it? Okay. So you go right here, tailopez.com/stocks. Easy. tailopez.com/stocks. You jump in the group. Okay? Here's the thing. We got a refund policy there. Read the refund policy. So that's good. You got to do this. You got to do it. By the way, you don't have to have a lot of money to start in the stock market. Some people think you need $10,000 or $50,000. No. Now, for certain individual stocks, if you wanted to buy Berkshire Hathaway or something, an A share, it's not going to be realistic for you to do unless you have six figures. But there's so many other things that you can do. Just get started, man. Everybody in this world procrastinates about stuff. It's funny. People are like, oh, I'm broke. And I'm like, that's because you've been procrastinating nonstop. How many people, be honest, ever thought in your life, man, I should mess around with the stock market? Everybody. Everybody's like, you know what? I should have invested in the stock market. But they never do it. So be the person that does the stuff everybody else talks about. Let me jump. Oh, man. This damn chat is frozen for me. Let me make sure I went through everything I wanted to talk about. Oh, let's talk about Twitter stock for a second. Twitter stock. Here's the good news about stocks like Facebook and Twitter. One of the good things about them is that they don't have much cost. A lot in the infrastructure. So tech in general is doing better because your Netflix, the coronavirus didn't affect your Netflix at all. So I don't know. I kind of like Twitter here. If you look here at Twitter, if I can get this damn thing to unfreeze. Okay. If I look at Twitter, 6 months, it was in the 40s. Look at this day. This was such a good day to buy stocks. March 18th. Man, what were you doing on March 18th, my friend? March 18th, it was $22. In the last 6 months, it was at 45. So again, I'm a fundamental guy. I'm not a technical trader. So let me ask you, fundamentally, do you think that Twitter is a much worse company in the last 6 months because of coronavirus? Hell no. More people are using Twitter now than ever. You see, by the way, this is a tip that I wanted to give you guys. So this is a free tip I'm giving you, a good one. Twitter has some problems. There's controversy over the fact that the CEO runs multiple companies, Jack Dorsey. There was a move recently to oust him, but it looks like he'll retain. I think he's going to stay. They're trying to get rid of him. But look here. Just ask yourself this common sense question. Are less people going to use Twitter now because of coronavirus? Well, less people are going to advertise in the short term. That's why Facebook and Twitter stock went down. But are things fundamentally worse off for Twitter? No, they're better. Now, for example, to run for president, you have to be big on Twitter. Trump made Twitter big. So now if you want to beat Trump, Biden or Bernie or Hillary or Klobuchar or whoever's running, Congress people, they've got to be on Twitter. So I like Twitter. Twitter's a lie, by the way, giving you that free. So imagine getting these tips sent to you. I'm not going to always give away these tips for free. I just wanted to come on here and give tips. I think fundamentally this is a company that I can see, when it dips there at 22 and it was just at 30s, 40s. I mean, I don't see Twitter going away. In fact, even Snapchat, which people thought would go away, people still use the chatting. I know that from my social media. So I see Twitter growing, if anything. If this thing drops tomorrow, pay attention. If tomorrow this jobs thing scares people and this thing drops to 22, 21, 20, I would be excited about that. I would grab this bad boy. So there's another tip for you. And the beautiful thing, I made it a paid group, but if one of these tips work out for you, guess what? You made all your money back. One of these tips, and you're going to be getting tips for 52 weeks. So follow what we say. Use your own mind. By the way, you might not agree with everything I say. Maybe you know something about Twitter. Maybe you have an angle that I don't know. You can ignore the tips that you don't like. But I promise you we're going to give you insight over this next year. It's going to be very powerful. I'm excited about this group. I'm going to be tracking. I'm going to set up a paper trade so that you can track the success and stuff of the portfolio. So, exciting times. Let's see if I got this. Damn, I don't even know. Let me see if I can. I can't get the chat to scroll up. I was going to say, any last questions? Here we go. Moves up very slowly. TaiLopez.com/stocks. Go there right now. TaiLopez.com/stocks. Don't overthink it. Now, if you have no interest in this, do not get in this. But I mean, if you've been still on the call, there's still lots of people on this call, and it's been like 2 hours. Jump in. The water's fine. You should have learned this. Should have learned this a long time ago. Okay, Schaub Heat in Jersey City. Oh, no, that's a different product. Lisa Dukels, Warren, Michigan. Welcome to the group. Andre Fighali, Laguna Hills. Welcome to the group. Geoff Jensen. Welcome to the group. Jerry Gordon, Sun Valley. Welcome to the group. Edmund, Woodland, California. Welcome. Luis Tabo, Katy, Texas. Chad Williams. Now, by the way, this thing's going to fill up real fast. I have not emailed my entire list about this, so I'm trying to give you a chance, okay? Because when I email my entire email list, and I haven't even posted it on social media, I only posted a link to do this. So, yeah. Ty, what do you think about senior living industry? I like it. I have a mentor who made almost $1 billion in that business. I like it. I like it. I like it. What are your thoughts on the health and wellness industry? Well, that's too broad of a question. What about the broad S&P 500? Yeah, by the way, for those of you who get in, we're going to give you different options. If you're more conservative, we're going to give you conservative options. If you're more like Dr. Mayer and you want to do, again, broad, low velocity, we're going to put you in the broad, low velocity category, and we're going to give you a portfolio for that. If you're more like me and you want to take a little more risk, we'll go to the focused low velocity. Okay? So we're going to try to focus on these two portfolios to give you. If you're crazy aggressive, this is not the group for you, although you might find insight that helps you. Am I going to charge commissions? No. You're not going to trade with me, by the way. We'll show you how to set up. We're going to record some lessons this week that we put in, but I don't make money off where you trade. You can trade on Robinhood. You can trade on, I don't know, Schwab. My grandma likes TD Ameritrade. You can trade whatever. There's a million places to trade. I'm not trying to make money off you guys on that. Pharmaceuticals are going to be big. The problem with pharmaceuticals is everybody's focused on them. I'm always looking for stuff that not everybody, I don't think everybody sees the Twitter thing. Why is Twitter down? Well, in the short term, it's down because ad revenue is down because businesses aren't spending on advertising, but that's temporary. You really think in America no one's going to advertise anymore? You think you're going to watch the Super Bowl and there won't be commercials? Come on now. Use intelligence. Twitter cash flow isn't good. That's fine. Lots of stuff that doesn't have cash flow can be worth money. I mean, I don't think Twitter's the greatest stock, to be clear. I just think it's an important part of human life. People use it for the news now. People use it. Donald Trump got 77 million followers. Even people who hate him follow him to see what they can. Just think about this. When he's talking about coronavirus, I watched him on Twitter right away. It replaced the news. Who the hell watches the news? Twitter is one of those ones, even if you don't like it, we're stuck with it. It's kind of like if you marry the wrong person or something, or you don't like your mom or your dad, you're stuck with them, baby. So where do professional investors buy shares from? I hear they buy directly. Yeah, I mean, if you're Warren Buffett, it's a whole different game. He has his own bond traders. He makes phone calls. It's not the same, but guys, yeah, a little bit different. I hope every one of you gets to the place where you are buying so many shares. Like he bought $60 billion worth of Apple. He didn't do it on Robinhood, okay? No offense to Robinhood, but do you think Bitcoin and crypto is going to replace the U.S. dollar sooner than we thought? No. Look, I like crypto, but I'm realistic. No. People think that because of the stimulus package, let's say $2 to $4 trillion, that the U.S. dollar is going to go down. Yeah. In fact, it's gone the other way. Like the Norwegian kroner went down in value. That government almost had to step in to stabilize it because oil. When I was living in Norway, there's signs, Brent crude oil price signs just like everywhere. And you're going, wow, that's like, now it's $20 a barrel. So Norwegians are going to be putting their money in the U.S. So I don't think that is true. I hear crypto people saying that. I just don't believe. I think they're wrong. I mean, look, crypto's good, but it's not. Be unemotional. You know, don't get attached to things. Attachment, like Buddha said, causes sorrow. And so people like never treat anything like a cult. Like I like crypto, but I see the pros and cons of it. You don't have to like something. It's kind of like if you're dating someone, you don't have to be like, they have no flaws. They are the greatest. Like you can just date them and you can just like them and with their flaws. Same with crypto. Lots of flaws. By the way, Alex doesn't like crypto at all. I like crypto. I'm more bearish. I mean, he's more bearish. I'm more bullish on it. He doesn't like crypto. Warren Buffett doesn't like crypto. But, you know, I got friends that made $100 million in crypto. So, will the newsletter have option strategies? As of now, no. If you want to do option stuff, you can join, be in my group, and you can make your option decisions. Options is, I'm trying to, look, you guys know my Tai Lopez brand. I'm trying to help people become entrepreneurs. I'm trying to help. So I don't want the stock market thing necessarily to be something you're sitting in front of your computer 24/7. Well, it wouldn't be 24/7, although futures trade Monday through Friday, 24/7. So some people just turn into these like zombies. Even Alex, he has like 8 monitors. I have 8 monitors, but when he was trading a lot, it's like 8 monitors. I don't know. I think there's other things you can do with your time. So with options, you have to be much more careful. Yeah. Marijuana stocks, Alex kind of gave his opinion. Walmart, will Walmart go out of business? No. Walmart's doing better than ever. People are going right now, and what are they doing? They're grocery shopping at Walmart. No. My son is 17. He's interested in trading. Go to tailopez.com/stocks. Sucker going to close out soon, man. I'm telling you. When I email this to my whole list, it's going to go fast. I don't want to have 100,000 people in this group. We'll move the market. It will be a nightmare. What do you think about Sirius XM? So here's the thing, guys. Okay. Whatever company it is, we're going to go a little more in depth, but I'm not showing you every way that you should evaluate a company, right? So you also want to evaluate companies, especially if you're a fundamental guy, you want to look at their financials. So let's look at this thing. They're doing $2 billion a quarter. Yeah, looks like $2 billion, up from 1.7. They got net income 162, earnings per share. Let's see. Net change in cash. Let's see. Wow, in June they went up 153 million. They don't have a ton of cash. Although these cash numbers are, I don't know, it's an interesting company. I haven't looked at it, to be honest. I think Sirius, the good news about Sirius is like right now people are sitting at home bored. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I don't know there's a lot of shit I don't know. This is not one that I can give you advice. Let's look at our 6 month here. Oof. Was it 7 plus? What's our max? When did they go public? No, forget that. So 5 years. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's not done much amazing, but it has dropped a lot. That March 18th day, boy, was a good day. $4.44. I don't know. I'm not a massive, doesn't strike me as something amazing, but who knows? You want some stuff that is asymmetrical return potential, that can pop out of nowhere and really make you some money. If you're like me. If you're not as aggressive, if you're like Alex, I don't think he'd be interested in this. We're also going to talk about ETF stuff. We didn't have time to talk about ETFs today, but all right, what else is there? I'll read off the names of a few more people. This went way longer than I thought, so I appreciate you guys staying. People are very interested now. Learn the stock market, baby. Learn the stock market. Learn it. That's all I can tell you. You're stuck at home, man, turn lemons into lemonade. Lemons into lemonade. Lemons into lemonade. People are like, oh, Tai, I don't have a job. Learn the stock market. Tai, do you use any apps to buy stocks? Yeah, you don't have to use an app. You can also do it on your laptop, right? Yeah, apps are, yes, you can do it on apps now, but most people who trade do it from their little home office or whatever. Do I think Amazon Prime Video has a chance to succeed better than Netflix? They're very different. For whatever reason, Amazon Prime Video, it just hasn't caught on. It's almost like the only reason you do Amazon Prime Video is if you can't find it on Netflix. So, yeah. Do I think Boeing will go bankrupt? I think there's a good chance the government bails them out because Boeing does a lot of stuff that's very important for, let's say it this way, for national security. So, yeah. They're almost too big to fail. Can I break your brain? Probably for 5 minutes a day to help move my business. Oh, man. I don't know if I'm going to have 5 minutes a day. I was on here all day. What will be your cap on the best group? Like I said, I'm going to get that 300 people in now. We may get there pretty quick, so. On another note, I want to bring a facial spa. Ooh, these comments are coming. Do you think Raytheon will go bankrupt? Renewable energy stocks? I tend to I think renewable energy. So there's two things. You got to look at the trend, and then you got to look at the fundamentals of the company, because it could be solar company with a crappy owner, crappy management. In fact, crappy management ruins things more than anything. What kind of website would you use? Like I said, there's lots of websites that you can trade. I don't want to give people exact ones. Like I said, you can do Schwab is a very famous. TD Ameritrade is one. Cattle market has crashed. And U.S. consumer. That's a whole nother thing, the commodity market. So I'm a member of Bloomberg here. Let's see what our commodities did today. That's a whole nother thing that I'll have some of my buddies come in and teach understanding commodities. So commodities, you got corn, you got pork bellies, you have, the price of oil comes into the commodities, but some of the lesser known commodities, that's a whole nother universe that you can learn. So Tai, do you ever get bored? You do so much. I don't get bored. That's not my problem in life. I have other problems, but let's see who knows? All right, I'm going to play a game. What's corn at? Who knows what corn is at? That would be impressive. What are the best brain supplements? I have one called Neuro 67. I had neurobiologist build it for me. I take it every day for years. Brent crude's at $27. That's oil. Corn's at 345. 345. Down 79 cents. Let me look at mine. Spot gold went down a little bit. Wheat, oats. The only thing that's up is rice. Coffee. Such an interesting world, man. This is a whole new world for you guys. Just like learn the game. Is weed a commodity? I do not believe weed is on here yet. Oranges are on here. Oranges are up. People drink a lot of orange juice. Lean hogs are down a little bit. Live cattle, 96 feeders down 31%. Yeah. The commodities one is a whole nother universe to be in. And it's not my main focus, but I do like it. Futures market, it's interesting. Dow Jones is up 16. So this is the futures trade 24/7, Monday through Friday. So Dow Jones futures is up 16.16. It's a good way. You got to learn to watch the futures market. They're often indicative of what's going to happen the next day. Not always. The S&P is down, so it looks like they're predicting a somewhat neutral day. So we'll see. Big day tomorrow. Big day. I hope that each of you that get in, by the way, when you get in, when we're sending these emails, make sure you check your spam, because I don't want you to miss the stock picks that we're going to give because you're not paying attention to because it goes in your spam box. So it's a very important thing because some of you are going to miss out. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up here. I'm going to put this on one brand new slide so you can't miss it. I'm going to make it huge. What size should I make it? So go here, tailopez.com/stocks. Can you invest in stocks if you're under 18? Yes. You have to do it generally with like an account. They have accounts, your parents. If you have a guardian, I don't know in the modern world if you have emancipation or whatever, but yes is the answer. Your parents should be able to help you set up one. So, all right, I'm going to end by just thanking the last people. Man, we still have a lot of people on here. Levi Falcon in North Platte, Nebraska. Brooke Bayless, Miranda, Australia. This doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter male, female, young, or old. That's the cool thing about the market. Armando Gutierrez, Portland. Ricardo Rebello, Parksville, British Columbia. Welcome. Lisa McDonald, Langley, British Columbia. Mason in Shakopee, Minnesota. Devin Barrett in Phoenix. Ned in London. What's up? How's London doing these days? One of my friends just texted me, I owned Sirius 12 years ago back when they merged with XM. Made some great profit back then. Yeah. Good. Well, this is exciting. I am excited for those of you who got in. For those of you who didn't get in, gave you some free picks. Watch tomorrow. Pay attention. Start focusing. When everybody else is stupid, be smart, man. Most of the world is stupid. Most of the world doesn't even pay attention. 3 types of people in the world. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. Never be somebody who wonders what happened. When somebody talks about Brent crude, understand what Brent crude is. Look it up. That's how you make money. Somebody's talking about rough rice commodities. What the hell is rough rice? Google it. See what I'm saying? When somebody's talking about a statement of cash flow and you're like, what's a statement of cash flow? Look it up. Understand that there's a statement of cash flow. 3 types of cash flow in the world. From revenue activities, from raising debt, from raising equity. Something everybody should know. Somebody seems to like Exxon Mobil. You want me to look at Exxon? Let's see what Exxon's at. I mean, so you got to ask yourself, 6 months go by. Okay, this is a 6-month chart. Has the world of oil changed? Yeah, it looks like it's priced about right. It's gone from 70 at its lowest 30, about half. Do I think in the short term that oil consumption could go down in half? Yes, it already has. So if you're placing a long-term bet, you could buy this. I think in general, oil companies are very powerful. I mean, J.D. Rockefeller started Standard Oil, then it got broken up, I think in 1901, big part because of Teddy Roosevelt. He breaks this thing up. It's still here now, 120 years later. Like Standard Oil, you got Exxon, Shell. These companies all came out of, I'm not sure if Exxon was one of the J.D. Rockefeller started Standard Oil, and I think 1870s, 1880s. These things are very powerful. So Amazon. So I guess what I'm saying with Exxon stock, it's not, I don't see a big move here you could make, but it could be a long-term hold. I think Exxon, does Exxon go bankrupt? The main thing that can go wrong, by the way, is you buy a stock and it goes bankrupt, or it drops and permanently stays dropped. But do I think Exxon's going to go bankrupt? So net change in cash, negative $2 billion, $3 billion cash on hand. These guys probably have some serious access. Cash on hand isn't always important to look at. One of my mentors who was a big investment banker, he's like, cash on hand is not always what you look at, because these companies have huge lines of credit open. So, yeah. What company do you see control the augmented reality space? I do not know much about that space, so I try to speak on what I know. But anyway, I'm going to leave this up right here, tailopez.com/stocks. Let's see the last person's name I see before I'll leave this up here. But I'm going to go eat. I'm hungry. So I'm going to step away for a while, and then you don't need to stay, but I just want to put that link up. Who's the last person I see before I go eat? What else? Well, Najum. No, that's a different product. I have different products here. Pedro Echeandia, New York. Welcome. Oh, no, Najim is somebody. Najum, San Jose. Levi Fokin, North. Oh, I already did you earlier. Well, Cynthia said she just signed up. Welcome, Cynthia. tailopez.com/stocks. I appreciate this 2 hours. I hope there was some interesting stuff that you learned here. I hope you see that it's all about developing a mindset of creatively looking at things in different ways. Everybody looks at it like that way. You spin the thing around and look at it differently. That's what you need to do. Spin the thing around. Okay? So, with that said, I'm going to head out. Talk to you soon.